Mike and I were talking about this earlier when we were at the store and leaving it with this big bag of food. But we just had this big lunch. How many food units, like hamburger units from in the game, do you think that would have been?
Oh, man.
Like how many rations worth?
This must be probably worth, like, for a big ass ration, because people do need like 2 food each.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably worthy of like maybe 12, 16 food.
You had said 12.
I said that. Yeah.
What do you think, Sami?
I would say 8.
8? Yeah. To play it safe. That makes sense to me too.
Because the thing is, I also think that it's 2 food, but they don't eat like that 2 food 3 times a day or anything.
It's just once at the end of the day.
Yeah, or if there's an event, so sometimes you do eat twice a day.
That's true.
But
and then some characters eat more, some characters eat less.
Right. So like, yeah, I feel like 2 food is quite a lot of food.
Just gorging yourself on bread. But if you were
bread, cheese, all
making
the
the trip
things.
to Canada with a charcuterie board in the back, like you're living the dream. That's the apocalyptic dream.
Right.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm a gamer.
Hi, John!
Gaming has come a long way over the last several decades. The debate on whether the medium is art has largely ended with a very conclusive yes, and around the world we're finally seeing people treat it with more of the respect that it deserves. With that in mind, and because I'm just as much of a game talker as I am a game player, I went around to all my gamer buddies to enlist their help in discussing games as art. So, if you love gaming as much as I do, then join us. Trust me, you're among friends. Listen in as we discuss the themes, gameplay, and whatever else comes to mind. It's like a book club, but gaming. Today's topic, Death Road to Canada.
All right, welcome to another episode of Book Club But Gaming. This is John again, your host, and with me today are Sami.
Hello.
McKenna.
How's it going?
And Mike.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about Death Road to Canada. This is a little bit different from the first 2 episodes, which were more about like very classic games that we all grew up on. Death Road to Canada is a much more recent game, and I think this is a really good chance for us to kind of stretch those recent game muscles. Of course, before we get started, I always like to do this. I'm going to play the sound. In full disclosure for people listening, the 4 of us did just try to do a run through, so this isn't the first time in the last couple of hours that we've heard this, but for everyone's sake. All right, so I like to start each episode by playing that intro theme music for the game and just going around the table and seeing what does that music make you feel. So, McKenna, do you want to start?
Yeah, honestly, I would have to say that Death Road to Canada probably has one of the best soundtracks in recent times for indie games. Mm-hmm. Like, the music is always just so catchy. It gets stuck in your head super easily. And it just, like, the intro music just makes me super jazzed to go on, like, a super quirky zombie hunting adventure.
Totally.
For me, I always get a little bit startled by it because it jumps in really fast and hard, and it's quite loud. You know, the sound levels in this game are a lot higher than they are in most other games, and so I always forget, and then I launch it and it starts playing that music really loud, and it startles me a little bit, but it is a very high energy, piece of music that gets you excited for the adventure.
Yeah, for me, I love high energy, so as this goes on, I'm like, yes, all right, adventure begin, let's go.
Blast it.
That's how it is for me. And
Adventure! Yeah!
And Mike, you and I, we always play this game together on your TV, and you have the stereo on pretty much every time.
Yes.
So it's always pretty much in your face, and I think that does kind of go in line with the game's overall tone. It is a very in your face kind of game.
Right. This isn't a little quiet thing you do by yourself. When you have it with people, like we just did foursome. That was my first foursome ever, so that was great.
Phrasing.
Oh. No, yeah, that was really cool, and thank you again. We're over sitting at Sami and McKenna's place currently, and they just allowed us to join in and do a 4-person game again for the first time for me and Mike. Had you guys done 4 people before?
A couple times,
a few
yes.
times, yeah, like with our old roommates, and then with like some of our other friends, we've done 4-player games before, and it's always turned out to be pretty chaotic, in the best possible way.
No, that was so fun.
As we just saw, yes.
I definitely got the short end of the stick on a lot of those jokes there, but
You were always lagging behind, like, and then all of a sudden, like, you could choose to become rats. Like, this is a part that I was not really, like, I wasn't aware of it. So, like, this was the first time that I was playing as a rat once my character died.
that was great. It seemed at first that you could do infinite rats as the rats died. It quickly put a stop to that, but it was a really nice feature to be able to jump in on that. Any other thoughts, Mike? How did you feel about playing 4-player for the first time?
No, I like playing with you because you introduced me, and then you have other people who enjoy it on another level too. I'm like, okay, so I can do this again, and I can do this again. I can see myself, all right, let's order some pizza and just keep going, guys, because it'd be fun. Yeah, that was a really nice experience.
Nice. And how did this compare to other 4-player experiences for you, Sami?
I think it's always difficult to play 4-player in a game like this where there is so much coordination that has to happen between everybody. And when you're playing 2-player with like maybe 2 bots helping out, they're just following the leader. Mm-hmm. And so trying to get like 4 people to work in sync in that way is a lot harder, especially when it's people that you haven't played with before and you don't quite know everybody else's styles yet.
Mm-hmm.
But so like that's a little different from maybe when we've played with some other people who we've played with a little bit more, where we kind of know a bit better how to work together in those really small ways that help you survive in this game.
Oh, totally. Yeah, this definitely had a very first time,
Yeah.
first Avengers, like first act of the first Avengers feel to it. Like nobody's working together, right? Like
Yeah.
you guys knew each other's styles. Mike and I knew each other's styles, and then there was like there was some overlap, and then there were also like areas where it's like, why are you guys doing this? Why are you guys doing that?
Stop trailing behind and hang out with
Okay,
us.
all right. I think I've come to a point now. I'm willing to admit, that I trailed behind.
Yes, you're a little lost on your side quests. Okay, that happens.
There was gas in that car, and it wasn't a lot, but I thought we needed it, and we didn't. We didn't even end up getting a car on that run because it took so long to get to the car that the zombies destroyed it.
Actually, interestingly, that might be the first time that we've actually had a car get destroyed by the zombies in a map.
Well,
I think us too.
Well, actually, it's the first time for you, but I have gotten it destroyed multiple times. Like, I've logged, like, maybe 500 hours in the game.
Oh, wow. Nice.
This literally is my favorite game to just sort of pass time. Like, I tend to get, like, a one-track mindset, and when I find a game that I really like, I will just, like, put everything into it. And with regards to Death Road, like, I've experienced a lot of failures. I think I've only succeeded about 10% of the time, which is, pretty average for a roguelike.
Right.
However, one of my favorite things that happened was the car was so broken down. I had the bodybuilder on my team, and I jumped in to play as the bodybuilder. He picks up the freaking car, chucks it at the zombies, and it explodes.
So I don't think we've ever seen that before, right, Mike?
We've had the last bodybuilder, but when I just like, can't do anything except for pick stuff up, but I never saw the car get picked up.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
You have to, like, really max out his strength.
Right.
So.
This was like, he was just carrying on with us, and John died. But, all right, I'm the last character. We're fine. I can't attack anything. Guys, we're done. And yeah, didn't understand the concept of the character.
You're kind of screwed if there's nothing around to pick up
Right.
and throw.
So
Although you can pick up and throw almost anything, I guess.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
sounds like
Right.
that's so cool.
But this is one of our first forays into the game, so like, yeah, lots of learning.
And then on that note, I think it's worth noting that Mike and I have only ever played the Switch version of the game before. This was our first time playing it on Steam. And so there's a lot of content that hasn't made it over to the Switch port yet.
Right, there's 2 patches, I think the liver and the kidney, that haven't made it to the Switch side yet. So it was neat to see that there was more things going on.
New stuff, new customer creation, or custom character creation.
Yeah, they
options
made
and
me a
stuff like
character. It was really cool. So
have either of you ever played a version that wasn't the Steam version?
I've played it on the phone.
There's a phone version. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so that was like my little intro to it. I played it on my phone. The controls were a little bit wonky because, phone controls and like this sort of like a game setting is a little bit weird because like you have your fingers on the screen. Sometimes you can't see the zombos sneaking up on you and things like that. So that was sort of my foray into Death Road to Canada. So
How about you, Sami?
No, I hadn't played it on any other. In fact, I don't think I've really even played it anywhere other than on my own PC or here at our place. So
With McKenna or
I mean, I've played some on my own as well, but
Okay.
not nearly as much. Yeah.
yeah, 500 hours. That's. I mean, I just want to give you a little.
Yeah,
round of
yeah, yeah.
applause.
Bravo,
That's super.
bravo. Dedication and
Before we
commitment.
came over today, Mike and I were just looking at. I was looking at my Switch and trying to figure out how many hours we put in, and I was a little surprised that it was only 50 plus, because I feel like we've been playing for a couple of years now, but at the same time we only play together. So it's like I'm comparing it to other games on my Switch that I'm playing all week long by myself, and we only play Death Road to Canada every couple of weeks together,
Yeah.
if that. So like okay, that lines up. But how many times would you say you've gotten to Canada?
exactly 10% of the time. Oh gosh,
But raw numbers, you're not sure?
raw numbers I don't know off the top of my head. We could probably like log into the game and check, but I don't think that we necessarily need to do that.
How many times do you think we've made it?
Maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
Maybe
I think
10.
that's going an overestimation, but
Yeah.
I know at least 5.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
I would say 5 is the safe estimate.
Right.
How about you?
I'm not sure, but probably somewhere in the 15, 20 times. But we also, have usually when we start getting, like a couple of good games where we get really far, or if we win more than once, we usually turn the difficulty up. So we go up to the next difficulty.
Mm.
We've beaten most of the like base difficulty level ones at least once, and then a couple of the next level, but we haven't done any of like Nightmare or whatever. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I've attempted like the super hard stuff, like the Keppa mode and things
Keppa.
like that. I can't do that by myself. I need to have like a super strong team, and unfortunately, like none of my friends are that good at it. So
Challenge accepted.
All right. Keep playing together, see if we can become a better team.
yeah, exactly. We'll just have to like pick this back up
keep
again.
me on a short leash. And John, where are you going? There's something over here. It doesn't matter.
Come back here.
Was it worth it, John? You got a spoon.
You kept me with the spoon. Why did you get me with the spoon?
I don't know.
It was a butter knife, not a spoon.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Either way, I don't know how I even ended up with it. Oh, you know what? I think I do know. And this is like an issue that I have anytime I go from playing on a Nintendo console to any other system, whether it be Steam or Xbox or PlayStation, is that where the A and the B buttons are always switched on any other thing, and Nintendo is like the outlier. So when we were playing just now, I kept on trying to like open doors or collect a resource, and I was just switching through my items, and I was like, no, what do you? Oh, right. So that was a little bit of a hiccup for me.
Yeah, I mean those controllers are a little bit wonky compared to like other sorts of gaming controllers.
To be clear, we were playing on the actual Steam controllers,
Okay.
and not on like, because you can also use Xbox controllers on Steam.
Oh, okay.
But we have the Steam controllers.
See, from my point of view, the controllers themselves functioned fine. It was just the Switch layout that was tripping me up, and that was a little bit of a hiccup. But eventually, by the end of it, like pretty much just before we lost, which we did, we lost.
It's okay.
That was when I finally started to get the hang of it. But that was a pretty funny story there. At the very end, we were in a siege inside a grocery store.
The Walmart.
Walmart, yeah. And we're kind of backed into a corner. McKenna and I are both playing rats. Mike, you were playing a dog, and then you were playing the one human who had to like all the guns, but you just couldn't shoot enough of one at a time to make any kind of a dent. I think everybody died, and I was like the last one standing, and I was a rat, and I managed to squeeze out and into the parking lot before the game ended automatically for not having any like actual characters left alive. So it was a bit of a tease, I thought.
It was pretty funny. Like,
I was like, I made it out. No.
All you see is like this lone rat just bounding across the parking lot.
And then failure.
Exactly. You have failed the Death Road to Canada, or something like that.
Right.
To start off with some more specific questions, since we've kind of gotten into like a basic idea of how the game plays for each of us, what would you say are the game's core themes?
Well, you're a bunch of people. You're surrounded by zombos. And your goal is to get to Canada, where it's safe, for some reason.
For some reason.
why is Canada the place that doesn't have any zombies? Maybe it's because the zombies are too polite to go up there to bother people. I don't know.
They just found their own spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think one of the main themes is just the fact that it is a roguelike or a roguelite, and therefore you're going to die a lot. You're not going to survive most of the time, and if you go into it with the mindset of like, you know, most other kinds of games, you might have a bad time. So I think that's a pretty important theme, is like just the fact that you're attempting it over and over again just to try to make it.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
I really have no comment on this part of it.
Okay.
I mean, everything was said very well.
I would say if I were to try to put like a soundbite to it, I would say it's a party at the end of the world, and like anything could happen. You could end up with a group of normal people or people who are severely disadvantaged, or if you're lucky enough, you could end up with Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Lunk.
Lunk, yeah. Lunk. You could end up with Anime Girl with like the fairy wand or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, like a
the
Sailor Moon
wizard
Club clone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Valkyrie with Mjolnir. Like, you could end up with all these crazy powerful characters with all their own kooky stories going on behind the scenes.
It is definitely a lighthearted game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the setting is often a very dreary and, you know, like sort of depressing, I guess you could say, sort of world, which is that zombie apocalypse. But Death Road takes it as in a very lighthearted and sort of amusing way.
Mm-hmm. What do you think what impact do you think the art style has on that?
I mean, for me, that's me growing up with 8-bit video games, and that's how it feels. It's very childlike in that regard. It reminds me about how doing Nintendo things, and that makes it a lot easier because I'm not feeling that they're superhuman, well-formed people, but it's more just sprites, and a lot easier to digest that. Oh, and Timmy died. So okay, Timmy died.
Poor Timmy.
Moving on.
Yeah.
You left him there. You just left him there.
And interestingly, I think actually that the art style of the game feeds actually quite heavily and directly into the gameplay, because the way that the sprites are constructed allows them to move in that sort of bouncy, you know, sort of very fluid manner that I think wouldn't be nearly as possible or make as much sense to a player if they were more realistic character models. You know, you'd feel like you need to be moving in a more realistic looking way if it was a more realistic character, and I think that would make the combat and animations especially and all of that feel very, very different from how it feels in the game, because right now, you know, it feels very satisfying to kill the zombies, to like kite around big groups of zombies, but if you change the art style, you change the whole sort of core gameplay aspect of it.
I think that it definitely lends itself to being able to differentiate the zombies from the player characters just by their movement. Like the zombies are kind of like teetering as they step, where the characters, like you said, are just bouncing across the screen. I think on the flip side of that, though, it does make it hard when there are so many zombies on the screen, and if the colors of your player characters aren't differentiated enough from the grays and reds that the zombies tend to have. Like, for me at least, I tend to lose myself within a swarm, which I think might be a part of the point.
Possibly, yeah. Just like trying to track your character is really important, and then also trying to track your allies as well, so that you can move together.
That's the part I have trouble with. What do you think?
Yeah, so like just sort of like going off on a sort of separate tangent about the art style, like I've noticed that there's been an influx of 8-bit style gaming that has sort of like taken over, like Stardew Valley, for example. Like there's been a huge boom in video games and that have been sort of put into this 8-bit style to sort of like give that old retro nostalgia. So that's my little 2 cents that I wanted to throw in.
Right, and not only the bits, but the fact that you have the little screen flares that happen, like the little staticiness, like it makes you feel like you're playing it on an old TV or in an old. To me, I always feel like I'm sitting at a pizzeria playing it on like a arcade cabinet, and that's why it always makes me want to eat pizza when I'm playing this game. Like I would totally play this game at a pizzeria.
Yeah, I get to always see that.
Yeah.
Totally, but I do think, I think that if it was more realistic, it would just lose that funness to it.
Yeah, it would lose its charm.
Sure, if it was like Call of Duty style, people like, okay, that's much different than what we have here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think of the raw power of the game, able to handle that many zombies and keep track of them even when you're going into a building or something like that? The game keeps track of how many zombies are in the streets and where they are.
I mean, in a programming model, it's not so bad. The fact that it can render that very well, I thought they did a really good job being able to hold that up. It's 3 people that are actually doing it. It's just 3 people, so it's really impressive that they're able to crank as much as they could out of it in that format. That's probably why some of the sprites are smaller like that, so that they are less process intensive.
And I think that the effect of that is definitely preferable to having like a few zombies that are like really highly rendered.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you can have a really good zombie game with just a few zombies.
No, yeah, it'd just be boring.
You need to have those. Just for a classically good zombie game, you need to have those like big hordes. Yeah. And if you don't, like, what are you even doing with it, making a zombie game?
Exactly.
But like, I don't know. I mean, in terms of like tracking it, I don't think the number of sprites is even that high at any point. Like, if you really look at it from like the point of view of like big strategy games and stuff like that. I don't know. I actually, it's not really even something that I ever thought about because it's a fairly low like hardware requirement game. It's quite easy to run. Even in the big forums, I've never really even heard of anybody having issues running it.
Yeah, I've never had it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it does sometimes glitch out, but, that's...
Yeah, but that's more of a bug thing rather than a,
Yeah.
large number of sprites on screen kind of thing.
Totally. To that point about it being not fun to play a zombie game if it's not a swarm, can you think of, and any of you think of a game that has more zombies in it? Like, it's something like this, or even just zombies in general that has more zombies rendered at once that keeps track of them all.
Oh yeah, There Are Billions. Back 4 Blood is a recent one that just came out.
Okay.
Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, there's.
Look out for the witch.
Yeah, I mean, any of the Back 4 Blood especially actually has like hundreds of zombies on screen at once running at the player character. It's single
running.
Yeah, and so fast zombies. It's a single player it's a multiplayer first person shooter. It's kind of like almost a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead.
Nice.
Same kind of first person shooter, but you literally have hundreds of them coming at you, and they're all full entities in a 3D world. So.
Damn. Okay, that's impressive too.
Yes. But much different style game.
Exactly, very different style game. Yeah. But if we're like talking about like the technical aspects of having a ton of zombies,
It's definitely doable
right.
with these 10. But again, for 3 people, like, damn, yeah, good stuff. That kind of leads into the next question, because in most zombie media, we can end up steering towards the fact that, okay, yeah, the zombies are dangerous, but they're not what you really got to be watching out for in the zombie apocalypse. It's the other people. What I really like about this game is that it doesn't shy away from the fact that you're going to have altercations with people. However, you don't play them out in anything other than a role play sense. Whereas you're actively fighting zombies with, use your shotguns or whatever. Anything that you do against other people, it's like you have people who are robbing you. Like, you just choose what you want to do or say.
Right. It's a text event and not an actual fight in the sort of game world, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think that contributes anything to the vibe of the game, that you're not having to actually actively fight against other people, just the zombies?
That's a good question. Honestly, like, I feel like it sort of harkens back to Oregon Trail, in that sort of like text-based sort of RPG stuff, where like you are having altercations within your party with other people through text, and then also when you go and you have your hunting games and your fishing games outside of like the text-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for me, I think that. Sorry, hang on. My mouth is moving faster than my brain. Let's see, what was that question?
Oh, it's not written down. It's basically, how does it feel to handle altercations with zombies differently in game than with people?
Yeah. All right, picking it back up. We'll just edit that out.
No worries, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I feel like it's sort of a nostalgic thing for me, because I used to play a ton of Oregon Trail when I was a kid. And having that sort of like vibe, that sort of style, mixed with like Shaun of the Dead style humor and sort of a setting, it's like no wonder I love this game so much. It's nostalgic, but it's also new and fresh and exciting and funny as heck.
Nice. Sami, what do you think of the blend of those two styles?
I think again, like it's another thing where it would, if you had tried to have the sort of fights with other humans, it would really change the nature of the game quite a bit, because you would have to have a lot more fight mechanics, I think, in order to deal with fighting another character that might have weapons or guns, or and how do you figure out, like, they would have to do a lot more development on those parts of the game. And it would it would change the feel of the game a lot, because it would take the focus off of the fact that you're in a zombie apocalypse and focus it towards other humans again. Whereas the way that it is with the text-based events that deal with the conflict with other humans, it's those are your roll of the dice events, and they might turn out well, they might turn out poorly, but they're not like as directly, you're not as directly like responsible for exactly how it turns out. So yeah, I think there's like two different things there, right? One, like I mentioned, it would change how the combat feels, and I think it might not be quite as fun or satisfying to kill another human than to kill zombies that kind of explode in a spatter of bits. And then also, like, it would make it feel more, or it would feel less whimsical, let's say.
True.
Yeah. Just picking up what McKenna was saying, that Oregon Trail, love that one. Absolutely love that one. So, actually going into hunting, all right? I need to go kill a bear because I need food. Really, I'm using that one to go rest my party for 9 days, but still, I'm doing that. I'm gaming the game. But yeah, so it's that part where there's a little bit more skill involved versus rolling dice from what happens from the people. At the end, I'm still playing it. It's like I'm playing the game. So sometimes the game is throwing humans at me, throwing zombies at me. The zombies are the fun part where they splatter about and things like that. So yeah, since that's the I guess the meat of the game, because you're doing more time killing zombies than you are talking to the bandits and stuff like that. So that just becomes the quirky little side thing we do between zombies. So it's like, all right, that's fine, it's real, it's there. But the idea that we're all together in all of this, at least my party is, but anyone that's not in my party is an a-hole. And so it's like, all right, come at me with your best shot and let's go see if we can get through this. That becomes nice and easy in the text-based way that they do it. Not so different from, like, I guess I'm gonna date myself here. I'm really old. I played was it like choose your own adventure games?
Yeah.
But they're book games. The one I did was like a lone wolf. So you get to go pick your character, and at the end of things, roll a die. If you rolled a 6, you did this damage to them. If you roll a 7, turn to page 8 and whatever. So it was a little more like that old school type of adventure when I'd be doing things like that. That's how I feel when we're doing the you versus the humans in the game type thing.
Yeah, it does have sort of like a D&D style feel to it in a way.
Yeah, lots of dice rolling, as you guys have been saying, which leads into this next question. What impact does RNG have on your enjoyment of the game, and how would it affect your rating of it as a whole?
I think for me, you just kind of laugh at when all of a sudden the bandits come and ask for all of your food and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, I got no health, so if I say no, they're gonna kill me. It's like, all right, here you go. You just laugh because what do? You've rolled snake eyes. That just happens at times. Like the other RNG there is what items do you get, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, granted, we've only played this like 50 hours, right? In the off time when I wanted to first get good at this game, what do? I'm reading what every single item is and did a spreadsheet of, okay, what's the highest power 1 ratio, stuff like that. So all right, so when we do play and something comes up, I'll know what's good to hold and what's not. So that part of RNG, okay, that happens, and it's fun when you get the Uzi, when you get an AK. It's like, yeah, sure, that's nice. But when they give you the board with the nail in it again, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's life.
I feel like for the first several times we tried to play the game, we just weren't getting guns or anything really strong.
Yeah, I was like, why did my thing snap? Every time they snap, I don't understand. It just keeps happening.
God dang it.
Yeah.
Why did I get a weed whacker?
Yes.
How do you think the RNG is balanced?
I mean, I think it's at a pretty good place, honestly, because you usually don't have too many streaks of really bad luck. It seems like I think there might be, I mean, it's possible.
I'm happy
but-
for you.
Yeah, we've experienced a completely different.
I mean, I remember it definitely has happened in the past, but I feel like they've tuned things a little bit, to like just give you a little bit more if you've had a really bad streak, to sort of influence things a little bit more in your favor for the next one, at least on like the normal difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it can feel real bad, especially if you're having a very, very good run and you run into an event that just screws you over. Not because you made a mistake while you were, like in one of the instances of fighting zombies, but because the game just decides, all right, you have a really bad choice to make here and you don't have any good options. And, you're not lucky enough to have the right traits from any of your characters to actually get through it okay. The game can turn very, very fast from feeling like you're doing really well to all of a sudden you're almost dead or whatever. But I think that's also just a basic feature of the genre, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have those negative effects, you don't have a roguelike game. So you kind of just have to accept that it comes with the territory and sort of deal with it, because that's what the game is about, is going trying to get through despite the odds being often stacked completely against you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's an event where you find an item, and it's like it's a Ouija board, and you can either use it and your team will be cursed with incredibly bad luck, or you can just leave that stuff behind and be like, nope, we don't want to do that. But yeah, when you utilize that board, your luck goes way downhill. I've only made it once with the curse of the Ouija board.
Does anything fun happen if you succeed with it, or like is there like
nothing really fun happens. It's just
a self-imposed hard mode?
Exactly, it is self-imposed hard mode.
My guess would be there was some Chivo for that or something like that, maybe, but I guess not.
Yeah, there's an achievement, but like nothing particularly like exciting happens on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no ghosts that come and chase you or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
That
would be really fun though.
What was the one that we found where I think one of your characters get possessed by like a demon or something like that?
Oh yeah.
And then that was fun to play with. I forget exactly how it worked, but
Yeah,
do
it
you
was
remember
the
this?
monolith.
Yes, the monolith.
Yes.
And then take damage, but then you also get like superhuman strength and things like that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes. Yeah,
That was
super
pretty
cool.
fun.
That was a good one. No, I think for this, it's like, I can't remember every time that we actually made it to Canada. Like, I know we did, and it was nice and fun. You get that nice, warm feeling, yeah, we did it. But I can definitely remember those really hard moments where we just got slaughtered and destroyed. And it's like, we had 4 days left to Canada, and then random siege, okay, random siege, okay, random siege. And we still didn't do the 4-hour one after that one.
Yeah, there's always that 4-hour siege before the end of the game. We had 3 sieges in a row, and none of them were that siege.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, but see, I can remember that one with a huge amount of accuracy. That, yeah, that just sucked, ha 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 ha. And, so you have great stories from that one, and when you don't, you've got that nice feeling that, yeah, I made it there, and you kind of move on. So I definitely, that's how these things are, right? You give a good story or you get a nice warm feeling. But either way, it's a good time.
Would you guys say this is a game you would play on your own, like single player?
Oh, I do all the time.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
I don't think I would. I think it's for that reason, for that story, that it having like the bad runs making a good story. It's more fun if you have someone to be like, what the fuck just happened? Like, but you play it a lot, or?
Yeah, I do. Like usually when Sami heads off to bed, and my cat does not want to watch Gordon Ramsay, I will put it on. So, little side note for all you podcast listeners, I have a cat. Her name is Lady Dignity, and she loves watching Hell's Kitchen. Like, she demands for it to be put on. Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand.
We can see her right now too. She's just chilling, not watching us, but for a second she was watching us record this. So There's a cat in the room. You might hear us yelp if she attacks our feet or something.
Yeah, she really likes feet. But anyway, going back to the question at hand, I love playing it on my own. I'm one of those weird people who loves like grinding. So if I'm in a game, I tend to really like grind levels. I really like to push myself to grind them or my characters and like their weapons, etc., into being the best that they possibly can be before I go into a battle, and then they're like completely overpowered. Yeah, I mean, like with Pokemon, like before the last battle entry, like all of my Pokemon were like level 200, because why not?
Or whatever the highest
exactly
level is that you could be.
I mean, that's not weird at all. That's just the way you like to play the game, and that's quite awesome, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, like everybody plays differently, but I think that that's something that I really like about Death Road is that I still get the feeling of like the random chance, and like I get the satisfaction of like going to Canada. But I'm just like on there. I'm grinding for achievements. I'm grinding for new levels to unlock, things like that.
How about you, Sami? Would you play
Gotta
it on your
grind
own?
for them Zombo points.
Yeah, I have played it on my own a little bit, but I do think it is more fun with at least one other person. I don't think like a full party is necessary, but 2 people is just more fun. You get more coordination, and it gives you more ability, I think, also to just sort of kite zombies, because you have that one other person who can sort of split up, and you go in you split up a little bit so that you can then sort of split the zombie horde a little bit, and then maybe get through in between almost. So I think that works well for me. I just don't find it super compelling to play on my own.
Mike?
I've only ever played with you or other people like today,
Yeah.
which has been great because that's how the experience has been for me. This is a game I play with other people. If I were to do it myself, I probably would be grinding like McKenna is doing, because I would definitely want to see the higher difficulty levels that we haven't gotten to yet, just because we haven't gotten there. It's like, yeah, that'd be neat. And I mean, I know I'm on the wiki looking up, okay, so here's this, here's that, here's what could happen there once these things happen. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Still waiting for the stupid patches to drop, but as soon as we get there, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But yeah, something I probably would do, but it still is so much more fun to do with other people, and for that reason I still might want to keep it just as that, because I've had such great times with it that way.
I will say, though, that the one reason that I think it's good that McKenna really enjoys grinding it is because that means that we have all of the perks and extra stuff unlocked that you unlock with the Zombo
Gotta
points.
get all those Zombo points.
So you had 50 out of 50 Zombo points, and you're like, I don't even have anything to spend them on.
Yeah, I was kind of playing like God mode for a while. I was like, all right, it's cool. And the best part is like we've got. I mean, if I had to pick a leader, yeah, she's doing it because
she knows the game
what's
that
going
much
on.
better
Like,
than any of us.
Yeah, I'll definitely fall for that, no problem. Yes.
And there's also just like a lot of really cool content that you get to unlock with the Zombo points. You get a lot of interesting characters and
Get like
perks and
character
stuff.
traits, perks.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite perk, I am so happy that we have it, is the anime fan. My character that I based off of myself in the custom character creation is an anime fan. Basically, that means that I carry around a strong katana. Most of the katanas that you find in Death Road, they break like after 2-3 hits, because let's face it, they're cosplay katanas.
They're stainless steel katanas.
Yeah, exactly. They go whoop.
Stamped wood, steel, yeah.
Yep. At least they're not broken. Anyway, but I get to carry around a big old sword. It doesn't break, thank goodness. And I do have to make sure that I watch out for the happiness quotient. If the morale goes up too high, I turn into an anime magical girl who kind of looks like a rip-off Sailor Moon character. And unfortunately, as much as I love her, and I wish that I could be her all the time, because, like, let's face it, those heart beams are really freaking great for destroying zombos. Unfortunately, she explodes after 4 days. The anime inside of her is expanding, and, like, her body just can't take it. And sometimes she'll either explode mid-mission, or she'll explode in the car and make everybody, like, go down to health.
Oh my god. And then you lose the car, right?
No,
Depending.
Oh, okay.
it's just inside.
Oh, okay.
I just reading the wiki on that one. There is one exact event that you can get to cure that.
Yeah.
And then you can be that way forever. And I'm guessing you've gotten that one or not.
I have not, actually.
No?
Okay.
Just hasn't
Yeah.
happened.
Well, I mean, like, I have gone to the anime, or the manga store, or the anime store.
Right.
Not the anime truck that you can get at the traders' camps, but basically, if you go into, like, the anime/manga bookstore, and, like, you find, like, the anime club members, and they can like once you've talked to all of them and have them follow you, you become cured.
Or you get frozen in that state of the
Right,
anime
right,
character.
right.
But I think the problem is it's so unlikely that you'll both be the anime magical girl and find them within the 4 days that you have.
Yes.
So that's why it's so uncommon to be able to fix it.
Yeah, it's a very rare occurrence.
I do like that level of rarity, that sort of thing that you might never see even if you play for 500 hours.
Yeah.
And then maybe on your 600th hour, you finally see it and you're like, oh, look, a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the toilet store. Have you guys ever gotten
Yes.
the toilet store?
We've hit the jackpot in the toilet store before.
all the toilet gas.
Or the toilet gas, toilet burgers, toilet bullets.
Yep, sometimes, like, if you get enough Zombo points and you purchase stuff from Snomi, you can unlock the toilet perk where it'll sometimes give you, like, an unbreakable weapon that pops out.
That we haven't seen yet.
Not that far on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you'll get an
you need to
axe,
have
sometimes
enough
you'll get, like, a
Zombo
pipe.
points built
You need to have what was
You have to have enough Zombo points, to have unlocked enough things from the like gnome in the Zombo point like thing.
Oh,
To
yeah.
unlock that possibility.
I think
Right.
our max limit right now is like 15 Zombo points.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I don't
so
think
We're very young into the game.
Yeah.
As we're
So,
cool.
which is, it's so cool to be talking to people who've been playing like
Right,
so
right.
much longer.
What,
than us.
what the end of the road is. And
Yeah,
that's what we
exactly.
need.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm barely even down, like, the midway point. There's just so much more that I can unlock with regards to, like, game modes. And now they have, like, a feature where, like, there's various challenges that you can complete. And if you've completed certain challenges, they will give you new hats for your character.
Cosmetic hats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that something that you could put on in any character, or like is it just go specifically on that character that completed the challenge?
Oh, no. It's for any character.
Also, just
Cu-
like, more outfit
customization.
options.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
customization
Oh, nice.
hats.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that the skin tones may have been one.
Yeah, I noticed you had a few skin tones that we don't. The Blue Man Group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we should make a character based on the Blue Man Group. It'd be hilarious.
And actually make the Blue Man Group.
Just have them walk around with like drumsticks or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, sadly, there's like no musician character trait.
No. But
Although,
there's the axe, the guitar.
this is true, and there's also the bard, who.
Oh yeah, the bard.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the bard. The bard is really funny.
This harkens back to what we were talking about, the sound design. There are certain actions and weapons that you need to have the volume way low, I think, to not be annoyed by. The air horn.
That's a very annoying one.
And then the bard too. I mean, his is a little bit nicer, but it's still like a very loud like noise that he makes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be Elvis Presley.
Oh,
where
and
he's
Elvis,
like,
yes,
yeah, where he's singing, and it's like every single time you do a karate kick, you just start singing, and
Yeah.
it's really obnoxious.
It is. It was fun the first time. Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, hey, look at that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Someone give me some earplugs.
Right.
And then that kind of leads into we've talked quite a bit in the last couple of minutes about just how much of the game is full of like references to other pop culture. So the next question I want to ask is, much of the game's humor comes from references to other pop media. How does this affect its ability to form its own identity? Sami, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't really affect it in a negative way because the way that it approaches those pop culture references is fairly unique, right? It has its own approach to it. Basically, all of the pop culture references are done in such a way that they don't actually use the name of the actual thing that they're referencing.
But you know what
It's
it is.
right. It's sometimes it's a permutation, like with lunk or lonk or lank, right?
Yes.
And then other times it's just a more subtle thing where they call it something like the bard or what else is there? There's like some others that really they just talk about like some descriptor for this, and you realize that it's one specific person that they're talking about. So I think it helps build that sort of whimsical nature of the game. Because the references are so lighthearted and a lot of the time take sort of some kind of ridiculous take on that person's or that reference's like character or what they're known for and implements them as their thing in the game. So I think it leaves the game plenty of opportunity for humor, and that's where actually I think a lot of it comes from is those references.
Absolutely, 100%. And actually, like, going into, like, some of my favorite references. So way back in the day, like when Sami and I were like first watching Markiplier stuff together, one of the games that we used to watch him play a lot was Octodad. Love that game, so silly. And there's an Octodad character in the game.
I
And
haven't
like
seen it yet.
okay.
Did
Well,
you
I mean,
prefer
like, of course, he's just a normal dad. Let's be real. Like, why would you even think that he's an octopus?
No, he's just trying to get through life.
Exactly. He's a little bit wobbly, but that's okay. Just like any dad. Anyway, so the character starts off. You see him, and the text says like, "Look at this normal man. He's a little bit wobbly. However, he's carrying like a massive sword."
Or like a massive collection of swords or something like that.
Yeah, and then if you recruit him, oops, Butterfingers, they slip through his hands and fall into a grate.
So it's like, oh yeah, we got this guy with awesome sword. No, we lost him. Oh,
Exactly. Well, that sounds.
Now we just have an octopus in the car.
Right.
Well, no, he's just a normal guy. He's just a dad.
Just a normal guy.
Just a dad.
Just a normal dude. How about you, Mike? What do you think the references? What impact do you think they have on?
For me, it's a lot of the nostalgia ones that I recall. Like in very very current pop culture, maybe I'm getting a little on in years and not up to everything. But like some of the things, the tortoise, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Like
Yes. Tortuga.
yeah, yeah. It's like I recognize that one, Garfield, things like that. So yeah, I can definitely see that there's a lot of my youth and all of that, and that makes it fun when we, roll that character. Like, hey, yeah, fine, that's neat, and that by itself keeps me wanting to play it again and again. It's like, all right, who's coming this time? Who are we gonna get this time? It's neat that way. So I definitely can enjoy that. And when I do pop my head into pop culture, and a little while later, oh look, that's what they were talking about in the game. Hey, yeah, that's fun for me to begin to catch up with the latest things that are happening. So I guess look at it from a slightly different angle. But it's nice.
Do you have a favorite of the references that they make?
The favorite one probably was Link, because you got so excited when that happened.
Oh yeah, I was pretty.
I think we were maybe about 7 or 8 days out, so he didn't get to do his full transformation to get the Master Sword. But yeah, as you go on, he gets better and better weapons and more things from the game. And you were just like so excited. But the craziest thing was you didn't actually want to play the character because you thought you'd get mixed up with the character that you were, and you just like lose him. So
Yeah.
so you're just like, no, I just want him right there. I want to see him do his thing. And you were so happy, but like, okay, it's cool. And then of course we actually got to Canada that time. So that was really
Yeah,
cool.
we took Link to Canada. That was great.
Yeah.
Sami, how about you? Do you have a favorite of the references?
I actually no, but I had a question like related to all these special characters. Is do you guys like to play the normal mode or the special characters mode where you see them more often, so that you get those references more often?
So for me, it was the beginning. Like we have 0 Zombo points. All of our traits and stuff are like low level, and then we get Valkyrie, who's like just destroying the whole thing. Like, okay, this is like absolute power in the game. Yes, or the anime character with the wand. I'm like, yeah. All of a sudden, life is good. I'm not just struggling in the game. So that was fun for a while. But then, as we started getting better and better traits and stuff like that, I kind of want the character in it because I like that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a trade-off there, and I could see myself some days being like, let's just go all out. Let's just play with like the special fun characters, and then other days be like, I kind of want to challenge myself a little more, or just take the character, like you said, the character that I made and care about for that reason into the end of it. If I had to choose a favorite though of the references, it wouldn't be a character. To me, it would be one of 2 of the vehicles. The first being the Dumb and Dumber dog, man, just because come on.
Yeah.
And then the other would be Dale's dead bug.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
From King of the Hill. And here's the funny thing. I think you'll find this extra funny because you and I are currently have been in a D&D campaign together. The character that I play is Rusty Shackleford, named after the alias that Dale Gribble uses in King of the Hill. I named and modeled a character in Death Road to Canada after Rusty Shackleford, my character, and we found the Dale's Dead Bug van on that run, and so I got to be Rusty Shackleford driving the Dale's Dead Bug van. And
That's amazing.
by total happenstance. I think that was the first time we'd ever seen it too. and so I was extra surprised and.
Yeah, that's
by
right.
it.
Yeah, it just came in that time.
I was like, oh, it's Dale's dead bug.
Yeah, you were so excited.
Oh yeah, so like something else that speaking of like events and like weird references, like there's an event called Giant Animal that so basically you start at the bottom of the map and like you have to go up to the top, and apparently there has been a giant animal sighted at the top of the map, and like you go in, and the higher up you go, the more zombies are, but also the more things you can get. So, like, there's, like, a weapons place where you can get some really good quality weapons. There's, like, a food spot where you can get just a ton of food.
You can say shit.
Okay, cool. I was like, I don't know. But anyway, like, you keep going up the map, and, like, there's more and more zombies, and more zombies, and then all of a sudden, at the top of the map, you find a giant car that's kind of, like, modeled after the Oscar Mayer car.
Oh, the wiener.
But it's not a wiener.
Oh.
It's a giant fish.
Oh, we've gotten that. Yes.
Yeah, the fish one. Yes.
Yeah, like that may be one of my favorite just random events that happens. Like you get so much good stuff, and then you wind up with a fish car. And I mean, like, how fun is that?
Yes.
It's not very good for gas, but still. Like, you're driving through the zombie apocalypse in a massive fish. Like,
right.
Who does this?
And it's great. It's funny how, like, when you find a special character, you can take them into Canada. If you get the special car, sadly, you can't drive it into Canada because you have to make that last stretch on foot.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it rolls. But it would have been great to see, like, the end credits rolling and us driving in Dale's dead bug.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, there's also, like, a UFO car as well.
Oh, that
yes,
fun.
the
I love
alien.
that one. Yes.
Yeah, and then, like, the Men in Black are in there,
They
too.
show up, yeah.
The weird thing about that is that alien car, it doesn't use gas, but it still breaks down really quick.
Yeah, if you have a good mechanic, though, which we did when we found it,
Yeah.
we just kept fixing it.
Yeah, that was my first strat for the game. Is our car would keep breaking down. It's like, oh yeah, if I have a really good mechanic, our car won't break down, and we won't go into despair so quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were able to fix the UFO. That was pretty cool.
But that's another thing about the game. How well do you think it teaches you to play itself?
Well, I mean, like, they do have, like, that thing in, like, the intro section where you can practice playing at first. So it definitely is good about teaching you the basics. If you go into, like, the
Tutorial?
the tutorial
Yeah.
section. But, you know, like, I think it's more along the lines of, like, here's the basics. Now you have to do, like, some trial and error when you actually get in. Because, like, let's face it, when anyone starts this game, they suck. They don't know what the heck's going on. It can be a little confusing when you start out.
Right. One of our first characters had that whatever the combo for saying cool it. I was like, oh yeah, let's tell everyone to cool it. It's like, this is not working for us at all, man. Why do we keep doing this?
And then we stopped for a while, and then you did your research.
Oh, yeah, and then I read, okay, what in the heck is cool it? Because this is just gonna mess me up. Is one of their Easter eggs of haha in the game. Like I guess the third time you do it, it actually works and does something fairly well. So it's like, all right, let's start charging up our cool it meter. And then it's like, all right, that was cool. That actually worked out neat. So you know, as you go through it, and I guess I tend to do that. I look for the spoilers and the how to better play games, because normally I'm actually really bad at games.
Me too.
So it's like I remember I'm normally the one that's bringing the team down because Mike didn't swing correctly or is just kind of butterfingers with the controller when it gets too stressful. So I was like, all right, if I give myself every possible advantage I can, I won't bring the team down, and that's why I do all the reading and stuff like that. So it's neat to begin to try to put that into practice and things like that. So understand what cool it means, you know, because I want to know.
Sami, how well do you think the game teaches you to play itself?
I mean, I think, it does teach you the basics fairly quickly, but then you need to spend a little bit of time figuring out how to do the movement, you know, how to, like, avoid getting bit by zombies and run through them, in a way that allows you to get through. That takes some practice for sure. But then there's other things that it more subtly teaches you, And I think one thing that I noticed actually when we were playing that I hadn't really thought about before, but is actually definitely a really good example of a way to teach your players how to play your game without it being like okay, now it's tutorial time, is that, when you're in the car and you're driving and you have your group, your characters sometimes talk to each other, right? And a lot of the text is silly, a lot of it is superfluous, and a lot of it is just there as like flavor. But then also sometimes you have little pieces of actually good advice there. So like the one that I noticed is there was a line that said something along the lines of, it's sometimes a good idea to just run through a horde instead of fighting them. Which is very good advice in terms of like thinking about some of the events or fights where there's no reason for you to kill every single zombie. You don't get, and that's also another thing about this game, is that in a lot of games where you're fighting, you get better at fighting by like fighting enemies. You get stronger in some measurable way that isn't tied to how good you are at the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you level up or your weapons level up or whatever, but that's not the case in Death Road, right? So you only get better by either playing better or getting lucky and getting better weapons and stuff, and getting upgrades to your characters just by playing through. But in terms of like a normal fight, most of the time there's not a lot of advantage other than not having another zombie to try to eat your face.
Mm-hmm.
To destroying a zombie. So but that takes some practice and changing your mindset from that initial sort of instinct that you want to kill everything.
It's funny you mentioned that. I think for Mike and I, the start of every session usually is like the first few missions it's before we remember, we don't need to fight every zombie. I feel like, for me at least, I think I'm just that kind of a gamer. Like, kill all the monsters and move on. But like you said, I needed to switch my mindset. I think that there are certain things that the game could still teach you a little bit better. I think that there are certain stats that work for certain like text option situations, like who should hit this card to make it start stronger. I'm gonna think maybe that's got something to do with wits or charisma, because I think of the fawns like smacking the jukebox and get it to start whirling again. But I just found out today when we were playing that that's actually your strength stat.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally punching the car
to make it. Yeah, and I'm like, okay. So I feel like sometimes it's not super intuitive which stat is going to be useful for which situation.
Yeah, but I think actually I kind of disagree a little bit. I don't think that's something that should be explained by the game. And yes, like you can figure it out just by going and looking it up, because that other people have figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for me, the way that the thing I like about the game is that there are so many different events. There's so many different things that can happen, and you go in with imperfect knowledge, right? And that you have to make the best choice that you can based on what you know, because you don't know, even if you knew which stat it is, you don't a lot of the time know what your character's stats are,
Mm-hmm.
because again, there's a lot of imperfect knowledge in this game. And so if it told you for sure, which stat this check is, I think it would detract actually from the feel of the game a little bit.
I agree.
But, then if you are a person that wants to know exactly what these things mean, you can go and look it up.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point. We can move on to our next question. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go around the table and just everybody share their favorite story of a mishap that happened in the game. Maybe something that happened that either totally screwed over what was otherwise a near flawless run, or even if it was something that didn't have much of an impact on the entire run itself, but that was just funny and worth mentioning.
We had a great one recently.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We were playing, when we were refreshing last week, we were playing it a little bit just to remind ourselves. And we got through. We actually successfully got to the end. We got to Canada. Yay. With one character left. And that was entirely because I managed to get through because I had like an AK-47 and like a chainsaw or something. I forget exactly what it was, but I had very good weaponry.
It was an AK and like an Uzi, I believe.
Or something. Yeah, I can't remember for sure. But in any case, I got through and I won. But the reason that there was only one person left.
We had 4 people in our party.
We had a full party.
And then I started throwing fucking Molotovs
no,
everywhere.
No, it wasn't Molotovs. It was hand grenades.
Close enough.
We were just as bad.
I completely spaced that I had.
We were on the final siege. The final 4-hour siege.
The 4-hour one. Okay.
The 4-hour siege. And we ran into one of the buildings to go and grab, because those buildings all have explosives and stuff in them. Mm-hmm. And so we run into this building. McKenna grabs like 4 grenades and then didn't remember that she hadn't changed weapons. We run out of the building and I'm like, oh, we gotta there's a huge horde coming at us. Like, come on, let's fight our way through it. Get your gun out. And then she forgets that she doesn't have her gun out anymore and just starts chucking grenades as we're running into that group.
And everyone dies. Didn't you have like 2 or 1 health left?
Yeah, the only reason that I survived that particular horde was because we happened to have a red turret. And the red turret it never runs out of ammo. And it basically
actually, that's not true. It does run out of ammo.
But it takes a very long time.
It takes a very long time, and it actually like targets things.
Yeah,
so, quote unquote never.
It was long enough that I was able to like just use that one turret to basically like cut down most of that horde and just sort of establish a little bubble of safety for myself for the last like 2 hours of that siege.
Just kind of crouching.
Yeah. I tried to use turret, please protect me.
I tried to use as little ammo as possible and let the turret do all the killing. But it ended up allowing me to finish the game, but it was going really, really well until that point, and then it became a very suddenly chaotic and desperate attempt.
Well, we did it.
Yes, we did.
Well, you did it.
How about you guys?
Mike, you wanna? Which one do you want to share? I have 2 on my head. I know you're thinking of one of them at least.
I don't know. The ones that always happen are like all right, here we go, ready, and jump in the car, and John jumps in the car and just drives off. I'm right there.
Daring.
Where are you going?
John, yeah, so that's more than once that's happened. Like,
and then I'm like, oh shit, did I leave you behind?
And we're just laughing at that one. Actually, slight sidetrack. The things I remember the most are when for the first time we did it on a, I feel it was either Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, but there was a holiday, and we fired it up and, oh, what's this? Some magic character at the beginning of the game wants to join your party. Like, oh shoot, is that a thing? It's like, no, it was Valentine's Day, so Cupid joined us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that was a fun little Easter egg that you get to have this bonus character during holidays. So it's like, all right, we have to place like every holiday, go see what's there. And so like, yeah, for that was like Canada Day, and then 4th of July that you get Uncle Sam. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, that was really interesting things. That I guess having played the game enough that there's something new, even we've been playing it enough times to want you to do it again and again.
And I also love the idea of having these like 1 day only achievement possibilities,
right?
Like throughout the year. Like if you missed it this time, you gotta wait till next year.
Yeah.
And then you can get it, which is probably fun for you, McKenna.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me. I need to try again for that turkey ending for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So. Oh, nice. That's this. Oh, that's coming up. And Halloween. Is there one for Halloween?
There is actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, they're updating it, so it's a little something different.
Oh, we might have to play that here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, like we're free on Halloween.
As far as my favorite story goes, in terms of a big mishap, that would be. So near the beginning of the game, then we were playing it. We finally got Friend of Dog, which has been what I was waiting for because I love dogs. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge dog person, and I randomized the appearance of the character and came up with someone who looked like Ned Flanders, just like completely looked like, except for no mustache, but glasses, brown hair, pink undershirt, and green sweater. Yeah, green sweater vest. It looked just like him. So I named him Flanders, and we got through most of the game. Like we were pretty close to Canada, maybe 2 or 3 days out, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy decides to steal all of our supplies and just dip. Like he took all of our guns, all of our weapon, all of our food, and we left us with like 2 characters and nothing to do with them. And we didn't make it to Canada in that run. And then I still loved the character for the most part, except for up until that point. So I didn't want to not play with him anymore. But I didn't also want to just let it go. I was feeling kind of petty. So I renamed the character Stupid Flanders. And every time we play with him, that's the version of him that I play with now. It's Stupid Flanders stole all of our shit.
Let's see. So going into one of my favorite mishaps, this was the first time I ever played with Magical Girl. So my team, like, we were super close to Canada. We were maybe like 2-3 days out. And I keep seeing her. She's expanding. She's swollen as hell. Like, eyes are, like, all over the place. She's, like, dripping. And then, like, we're like, okay, there's too many zombies. We have to turn back. We all get into the car and we drive off. Now, mind you, my other characters maybe had, like, 1-2 hit points. We didn't have enough, what are they called?
Supplies.
Yeah, medical supplies to, like, fix it all up. However, we get in the car, and a tragic thing happens. The magical girl, there was too much anime in her body, and she exploded. And not only did she die, but she killed everyone in the car.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely tragic.
So that was just the end of the run.
That was just the end of the run.
Done.
Everyone's dead. Okay.
Everyone's dead. The car exploded.
Yes, and yet you still love the anime girl, at least the perk or whatever. The
Anime fan.
Yeah,
anime fan.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have really good, fairly good fitness. You have a cool sword. I mean, who doesn't love cool swords?
Right.
I mean, Russell would be down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not really sure if he'd be down to transform into the anime girl, but you know.
For those listening, Russell's another friend of ours who will be on a future episode. He hasn't been on one yet, but look forward to that little setup Easter egg foreshadowing for all of you.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, honestly, anime girl still one of my favorite characters to play. And to be honest with you, like, now I know not to leave her in the car when she's all drippy. Yeah, just like make her explode elsewhere, like in the back.
That's the character you leave behind
Exactly.
when you're driving away. Just stand on the other end of the screen. We're gonna go.
Yeah, bye-bye, anime girl.
Bye. On the other end, does anybody want to share one of their favorite moments that was like a turnaround where you're like, oh, look at that, we got this, and we thought we were done, but this came in and saved it, and suddenly now this is a good story. I can start. It was the first time that we had a dog in our party, and then all of the people died, and the dog got away, and we thought, well, how's the dog going to get to Canada on its own? And the dog, there was even like a little bit of text, like the dog's like kind of sad and nervous, but then it musters up all of the skill and courage that it has and starts driving the car. We were like, "Yay! Go Fido!" or whatever his name was.
I think we made it that time too.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
We've got more characters and then we made it.
Right.
Let's see. What about you, babe?
I'm trying to think. I can't recall any good stories right now.
So maybe we'll start with you, Mike. Do you have any turnaround moments that have really stood out to you in your memory?
No, I remember one point. It was like we were having an okay game, not doing so well. I mean, you know, losing characters left and right and whatever. Then the fencer comes by. I think that one's name was Charlotte at that point in time. Even I just happened to do the research. I think this is the character that has the strongest weapon in the game. So yeah, let's try that. And okay. And wouldn't you know, all of a sudden, hey, we're going from mediocre to we're probably going to get to Canada. And it was good. So I remember we got some of the hardest sieges, the ones that are indoors only.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you were using a shotgun or something like that, and like okay, you're in the long, and I'm holding the short range stuff, which the fencer can do by a mile. And so that was really fun. Then all of a sudden, yes, this is a nice winning combination for us. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed that one.
Nice.
She's a fun character.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we first got her, and like we were like, "Oh my god, this gal was awesome!"
Mm-hmm.
I think her name was Charlotte as well.
How about you, Sami?
Yeah, I think I don't have any real like standout moments that come to mind super easily in terms of like a turnaround, but that's I think mostly because my approach to the game is that I assume that things are going to go poorly. Just at a base level, you know, you start the game and you're like, all right, it's gonna, you know, things are gonna go poorly. We're gonna die because that happens most of the time, and that helps make it like less frustrating when it does happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that also means that then basically any time that we make it, it feels like, oh, we really turned that around, even though probably, you know, on the grand scheme of things within the game, we might have been doing just fine. So I don't have necessarily a lot of really good specific examples, though I can say that anytime I get the tactical spear, I'm feeling pretty good about things.
Nice.
Mm.
McKenna, I know you have a story that you wanted to share.
Yeah, for sure. So it's actually something that happened while I was in a game with Sami. For a very long time, we avoided the flashing light sort of events.
Us too, because we didn't know what they meant.
we were like, oh god, that must be like ultra hard, even more than the red. And then I started reading like, oh, so they're just special events that like something really cool could happen in. Okay, well, let's give this one a try. So we were like, okay, dark mansion, let's go. So like, thankfully one of us remembered to bring a flashlight. Thankfully.
They did it with one.
Yep, it was so dark. We had like 3 characters. Sami was like playing like a super maxed out strength character. We're like going through like all these dark hallways. There's so many zombies. We're like, what the heck? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why is this a good idea? And then we go into a room and we see this big ass sword just smack dab in the middle of it. Sami picks it up. It's called the Mighty Claymore. And he's like, okay, let's test this thing out. Like there's like 5 zombies like all up in his face. He swings it, they all explode. Just boom.
Swept.
And he was like, I have the power! It was really funny.
Good story. I love that one.
I love situations like that because kind of like what we were talking about with Link. Whenever we get something really good, I'm wondering how I'm gonna. All right, how am I gonna lose this beauty? Like, so
Yeah.
It's so great when you get something like that, then you actually get to take it with you to the end of the run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always really sad, like, when you get, like, a super powerful character, but they only last for, like, a day or two, like the Knight.
Oh, tell us about that.
Okay, so have you guys ever gotten the Knight character?
I don't think we have.
I'm sure. Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, so
Not striking.
she lasts exactly one day. Unfortunately, she has to go do nightly things, and she was just tagging along for a ride, and
For a little bit.
and she is like one of the most OP characters, like super strong, like has extra health, like she's probably like 5 health. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, as opposed to 3 and the +1 if you're lucky. So
Yeah.
Yes. So Lady of the Night. All right, cool.
Something like that.
I have another question for you guys. What was your reaction for the first time you made it to Canada and saw what was waiting for you?
When okay.
And let us know in advance if you knew in advance what was going to be there, if you looked it up, or if it was a total surprise.
When I saw the giant Canadian Mountie robot,
Yes.
I was in tears. I was laughing so hard. I was like, what, where did this come from? And like the beaver saying like meep and squonk. And the moose.
That was so great.
It
Tommy?
was so funny.
Yeah, that was a pretty great moment. And then also just like talking to is it the mayor or the president or whatever?
Yeah, the president
The
of
Prime
Canada.
Minister?
The Prime
Oh.
Minister.
Yeah, that was.
Who looks like Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very interesting because it was also just like a question of like, I wonder where on the Canadian border we are because it's a really long border
Yeah.
and they appear to have fortified the whole thing. So
This gate. Yeah.
how?
And the
did
Prime
they-
Minister just happens to be at this one
Right.
spot.
Yeah. Really raises a lot of questions.
I think for me it was just this moment. We just finished the 4-hour siege. There's more, and it just seemed like it's such a swarm of people, and or zombies. We were trying to wade through, and then John pulled out his chainsaw. Mike, just follow me. We're gonna go. So we made it to the end. Like I see the line, and then you see the horde come in front of us. Like, dude, we're not gonna make it. And then the Mountie drops in and saves us. Like, oh my God, we did it!
There's a lot of build up to that moment because you get to the border and there is no Mountie. They're Mounties, not the Mecha Mounties.
Yeah.
And then you hear them say launch it or something like that, and then you see something's falling down. Finally, the big reveal, and you and I, just like you, we were in tears. Like
Yeah, I was just like, oh, we finally
oh my
did it.
God,
Then.
look at that.
We played maybe on the weekends only, right? So it might have been like our 3rd or 4th weekend that we're playing before we finally got ourselves to Canada. I'm like, oh, we did it! We actually did it! And that was like,
Yes.
yeah. So that was really a breakthrough moment of like, oh.
Yeah, because
okay.
it does feel pretty hopeless. You're like, how are you supposed to survive? This last thing that we need to survive in order to get get free and finish, and then you get the mecha mountie.
And that feeling of hopelessness is so well portrayed because all the times that we've actually made it to Canada and made it to that last level, I don't think we've ever died on it. Have either of you?
Oh yeah, you guys
Yes.
lost the last level.
You
Oh,
have?
no.
Yes.
Okay, see.
You say it many times. What tragedy happened to you that
Yeah,
time?
tell me.
Oh man, where to begin? So we got overrun. We ran out of bullets. We ran out of gas. We didn't have enough stuff.
So you just had sticks.
Right,
Yeah.
we just didn't have good enough melee weapons to actually get through. So we'd managed to get through the siege because we had explosives and the ammo and
Okay.
guns, but then we used all of it in the siege.
So you're depleted by then.
Right, and we
Yeah.
just had nothing left for that last fight.
Oh, not
Couldn't
enough
get
gas
through.
in the tank. Oh.
So you didn't make it even to the border.
Right.
You just. So I feel
Yeah.
like the toughest
I
part
made
is
it to
getting
the
to
border.
the border, and then once you make it to the border, all the NPCs kind of take over. Like,
They
you
help
just-
a lot, but it is still possible to die.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's.
We just got lucky.
Well, I guess we've just been really lucky. Like we've always had either a chainsaw or something like that.
Yeah, if you don't have something powerful, it's enough zombies that the mounties and the beavers and stuff just get exhausted, and so they can't attack fast enough. And then you can only retreat so far. So if you're not able to help hold them off for a little while, the mecha mountie isn't gonna make it before you die.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I do think that final stretch is the only level in the game that isn't randomized. It's the only one that the layout is the same
Yeah.
every time. And
Like the zombie count and everything.
maybe not the zombie
Oh,
count,
well,
but
like,
the actual structure
the actual
of the
route.
level
Yeah, that's a fixed route.
is so
That one, and then also the final siege. The final siege is always the same as
It's
well.
always
the
outdoors?
4-hour one.
Uh-huh.
No, we've done one that was indoors, and that's what screwed us over. It was a 4-hour indoor siege, I think.
No, because there's a
That-
penultimate siege that is indoors.
maybe that's
And that's
the one I was talking about.
2.5 hours.
Then maybe we
something
just
like
got
that.
Screwed on that
screwed.
one.
No, screwed on the one before that because
Yeah.
we got a random siege between them. So
Yeah,
Yes.
that might have also been the time we were talking about getting 3 sieges before even the.
Yeah, but the final siege, as far as I know, is always that outdoor city block where you can run into the buildings and grab stuff. But
And that makes sense because I hate the indoor sieges. Even in the siege like the one that we just did, like I don't even like to go indoors on those sieges.
oh
'cause
yeah,
I know we're just
we
gonna get
chill in the parking
screwed.
lot
Yeah.
for 2 hours.
Yeah, because
Till whoever comes at the door.
I just it's so hard for us, at least in our experience, to get back out even after the siege ends, unless we have a chainsaw, and then someone can just follow through.
Yes.
But like I think most of the time, even if we have like a gun, it'll run out of ammo before we can actually make it to the door or whatever. So I think it's cool. Like we followed you in there because we're like, okay, these guys
Know what they're doing.
know what they're doing. And honestly, I think if we had actually good characters,
And just
Right,
rats.
again,
yeah.
2 of us had rats. So and then we followed your advice, we probably would have been able to figure it out. But
the problem with staying outside is that you just have usually if it's a space that has an indoors and an outdoors, usually the outdoors is so small, so you don't have space to move in, whereas the indoors does have space.
we got pretty good at kiting though when there's a siege outside of a cabin. And we just sort of,
well, yeah, that's true. The cabin
it
can
gives you that
because
circle
Yeah.
to kind of go into.
But a lot of the other ones, it's like you have a wall above you that
That's
has
true.
a door, and so then you just have only the space that you're in.
not a lot of room to work.
Especially for like gas station sieges, that's a real bad idea.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Those ones are really, really bad.
We've only done 2 gas station siege ones, and they're in the beginning of the game, so like the 0.7 hour, 1 hour is nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We never had to do one that was like
None of the really hard
laid
ones.
in with like irritated zombies or worse.
Yeah.
I don't think they do them super late just because there isn't space for enough zombies or like for that number of zombies.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's good that they keep that in mind. Like
Yeah, if it's just that impossible. Yeah.
back to that final level though, I do think that it's a very good final level. It feels like a final stretch level.
agree.
Like you
Yeah.
crash your car. If you have a car, you crash it at the start of the level,
Yep.
and it's like, okay, on foot, like.
Everybody run!
Right. It's and that actually that crash is a very good like indicator of this is it. You don't need your car anymore. It doesn't matter. You're there.
This
You
is
either
it.
make it and you're done or you die.
More often than not, we're walking into that last siege level.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, car broke down, not enough gas, we're done. That's just the way we like.
Yeah, I don't think you can really make progress towards Canada between cars, can you? Like, or is it sort of like 2 days for one, or?
Yeah, you do still make progress, but it is much slower.
Yeah, okay.
A lot more despair.
Fair, yeah. So were you saying that we actually walked into that final level, or just the siege?
No, both with the siege and the final level.
Oh, yeah.
We walked those last ones.
I must be misremembering.
Okay.
Well, there isn't really a lot that happens in between the final siege and the last level.
Yeah.
It's
Right, like
it's a day. And that's it.
Right, yeah, and like I don't think there is like even really an opportunity for random like encounters, even if you don't have a car.
Mm-hmm. Or even to get a car.
Right. No, certainly not.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
It happens.
It happens. What time period do you guys think the game represents?
I think it represents present day.
I know. I think it's 2010.
Really?
Yeah, because if you look at it, you don't have there's no electric cars yet.
Yeah, I mean there's a hybrid.
There's
There's a hybrid, but there's no electrics.
Yeah,
There's the alien
There's
car,
the
though.
alien car.
That doesn't count though. That's not.
That's an alien car.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean Tesla's an alien car.
It
Let's
totally
be real.
is.
It's a space car.
But
Yes.
but like the hybrid is a Toyota Prius.
I'll
Oh,
give you.
okay, fair
I'll
enough.
give you that part. I'll give you that part. But like, even right now, we're not taking EVs en masse everywhere.
Well, right, but you can't find one ever. It's just not in the game. And then if you look at the hybrid, it is always that Toyota Prius, which is and it's that like old version, right? It's not the Prius C or any of the so I think it's fairly like, pretty clearly it's in that sort of 2010-ish era. Just kind of looking at that alone is actually one of the biggest signifiers to me.
Okay.
And then you also have like
The comments like the
Yeah.
whole like the zombie apocalypse. Thanks, Obama. You know.
I totally forgot about that part.
I did.
But
But
yes.
went right over my head.
Yeah, like there's still a lot of like zombie Obama references, and like this wouldn't have happened if zombie Obama was in charge or something like that. Well, I mean, like that came later on after Trump got elected.
Oh, okay. I like that they add stuff like
Yeah,
to
they
keep it current.
they do their best.
I mean, yeah, they still are patching, right? So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
do enjoy that.
To Sami's point, though, and it just sort of, I'll lead into what I was going to say about Sami's point, but this kind of breaches into another question. So actually, Mike, if you want to answer the previous question first, what time period do you think?
I think they nailed it. I have nothing to add to that. They could plus
Yeah.
refute what they're saying now.
Yeah.
Well done, peeps.
All right, well then,
We
I
got
would
this.
have before everything that you guys said, I would have said 90s just because of the texturing on the visuals, like the static that I mentioned earlier, and then all of the like early 90s Simpsons references that are throughout of it. But I guess that's just because those are the references that spoke to
get.
me the most. Yeah, the ones that I get. So
I think that might be more thematic, not specifically the time period that they're actually doing.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So then my next question would be, how far into the apocalypse do you think the game takes place?
Pretty dang far in.
Do you think a year, 2 years, 4
Well,
years?
We're
10
at the
years?
point now where, end quote, if you close your eyes and eat the cat food, it tastes pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It tastes almost like canned tuna.
So, yeah.
You're at the point where a burger in the toilet is a gold mine. So I guess.
it does seem like it's at least some months in.
Mhm.
Most fresh food would have spoiled.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about like, when you find the Twinkie van, it's like, oh, they don't, or like they didn't spoil, but they are really sugary.
It's gonna make you super hyper, and then then there's also like the thing with like the reference to McDonald's burgers and how they don't age, and like somebody gets like a little too happy on the Happy Meals, and just like completely gorges himself, and he takes damage.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
just
I remember
ends
that
up
one,
really
yeah.
fat.
Right.
Ghost Stories or Bag of Marshmallows?
I always go with Bag of Marshmallows because
Me too.
food.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And honestly, Ghost Stories, like, they will lighten the mood, but it'll leave everybody tired because they were all freaked out or too scared to sleep.
Right.
That's true.
Get some morale boost.
Yeah.
But yeah, really the only time that I will intentionally take a tired, like debuff, is the
Picking-
chopping wood.
Well, and picking berries all night.
I don't usually do that one.
I usually do.
But the chopping wood one will increase the character's strength, and that one I think is worth it.
That's the stat that you.
Well, it sounds
tend
to
to
me like,
go
yeah,
for.
you gravitate towards strength more than things, as I'm hearing from Mighty
Yeah.
Claymore.
But from what we're hearing, that's like Maybe we should be too. Like,
I mean, strength
pick
and
up a car. Like,
Strength and fitness.
yeah,
both.
strength and fitness I think are the two most important combat skills.
When you're using combat, yes.
But
And
so much of the
shooting.
game. Well, yeah, shooting is important, but it's also so reliant on finding, guns and ammo.
Mhm.
Whereas fitness especially, but also strength, like just allows you to use better melee weapons and use them longer and more.
That does sound like a much more, I'll say modern, but more thought through skill, or way to play the game. Like seriously, for me the first time was maintain the car at all times, at all costs. So like seriously, had the
we did
decked
not
out
wanna
mech
walk.
at the beginning. Yeah, because every time we do that, he'd go trip and we'd go get hurt and
Lose all of our stuff in
despair
the
and-
river. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know why it'd always be your character that caused it.
yeah, it's like I had a hole in my backpack. Like, there's a hole in my backpack. Why don't we have that guy walk ahead of everybody so we can just watch what's going on with him?
Right. So that was one of the first ways I had devised how to get to Canada by keeping the car in place. But yeah, since you're saying yes, we do fight more often than not. So yeah, that.
And
that
most
makes
of your
sense.
deaths occur,
During then,
when a fight is too overwhelming.
That's true.
not because the bandits killed you. Yes.
I mean, that
Sometimes.
happens too, right? For
I mean,
sure,
in
but
RNG.
But for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah. more often than not.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite weapon to use?
I think I already touched on this, but the tactical spear.
Tactical spear. So not the
No.
this claymore.
Yeah, we only talked about the Claymore. I
No,
don't
you
think-
mentioned
I
it
mentioned
briefly.
He briefly
Yeah.
mentioned it's probably a good run. For
because
you. Yeah.
that the key thing about the tactical spear is that it uses half as much energy as any other melee weapon, so you can use it twice as much
It's
before you get tired.
it's also a
Long range.
as opposed to a swipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have the downside that you can only hit like one zombie with it, really, but the fact that you can hit them from further away, and you get tired far more slowly, and it does actually do pretty good damage. So, that's one of my favorite weapons.
How about you, Mike?
I mean, I definitely like the rapier with Charlotte, the fencer. That was
The rapier, yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice. That probably would be my favorite one. Aside that, just give me a melee weapon and good luck. That's
See, I wasn't really thinking about the special characters. If I were to choose one of them, it would probably be Valkyrie with Mjolnir. Because I really love throwing Mjolnir and arcing it around a group of zombies and then have it just like keep trying to come back and just take out that entire horde in one throw.
Yeah, that's a
Although it
good
does
one.
leave you defenseless until it comes back. But, I mean, you're Valkyrie. You can be pretty strong.
Yeah, you can just punch them into
Just-
submission.
What about you?
For special characters, Magical Girl Wand, because you can
Mm.
use it as both a melee weapon and a projectile.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably for the normal weapons, the Dead 9 pistol that you can purchase from that one agent, who is like a reference to gosh, what is that game called?
The Umbrella.
Yeah, the Umbrella Corp.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. There we go.
Is that so? Was that in a recent patch? We haven't
Yeah,
come across that in our.
Yeah, this
Personal
is like
playthroughs.
brand spanking new.
Okay.
that probably would be LJKLM. Yeah. So
The
the ones we don't have.
Yeah. So what does the Dead 9 do? Like, because we didn't
Yeah.
get to see it in action this time. We did in this playthrough come across that guy, but we didn't end up buying the Dead 9. I don't think.
Okay, so it has the same amount of kick as a Dolt 47 rifle, or
Dolt 45,
Dolt 45.
which is the really big like Magnum pistol.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got the same amount of kickback. It's got the same amount of power. It can go through 2 zombies at once. But it takes like half the reload time.
It
Oh.
fires twice as fast.
Yeah, it fires twice as fast. It's,
That's so cool.
It's pretty great.
That's hella cool.
What's you?
So aside from Mjolnir, for a special character, for a non-special character, I think the sickle. It's pretty fun because the scythe has like a high reach. I said sickle, but I meant the scythe.
Oh, okay.
The long reach, and then I really like the sweeping
The cleave.
melee attacks. That like the claymore for you was a really good fit because you had all that strength. But I've never had a character that was quite so strong. So I think that the happiest medium I could get was the scythe. Other than that, y'all are gonna think I'm nuts, but I really love the pipe bombs.
Oh no.
Of course you do.
We know you love them incendiaries.
The incendiaries, the pipe bombs, the grenades, and the Molotovs. They're so much trouble, but they're so much fun. If you can actually make them work for you, it's so satisfying.
That's true. Yeah, just blowing up a huge group of zombies all in one go.
Or even the propane tanks. Like you take one, throw it outside, and then hide in a building, and then just like clears up a whole horde.
Well, you don't have to hide.
I mean,
you just have to not be too close.
Not too close because it jumps around though.
That's true.
So it's easier to avoid it if you just go into another room entirely. But yeah, that was so fun.
I found the source of the ticking. It's a pipe bomb.
Do you guys think that the game deserves or warrants a sequel? And if so, what would you like to see added to it or changed about it?
That is
And a Death Road to Canada 2, like an actual direct sequel.
Yes.
I mean, yes, I would love to see another game in the franchise. I know that the developers sort of did like a spiritual successor to Death Road to Canada called Cannibal Crossing fairly recently, and it's a little bit like Animal Crossing, except for all your neighbors want to eat you, and they're not cute little fluffy animals. They're like actual like cannibals who are like coming to eat your face.
Mm-hmm. But it's a different kind of gameplay, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different gameplay. Like you can shoot your neighbors and things like that. Make sure that they don't come back to try to eat you. You can barricade your house. Like it's a bit different, but it's still, from what I have heard, it's very fun. And it's still like laden with all sorts of humor that you have come to sort of associate with Death Road to Canada, which is fantastic.
Right. So would you prefer to see more stuff like that, or do you think it'd be good to see a Death Road to Canada 2 and where it's like we basically, you had mentioned already, and you kind of surprised me with this knowledge that it is already kind of a sequel to the original Death Road to Canada, which was like a much more of a flash game?
Yeah.
Or, okay. So considering what they added from that, do you think that there's enough that they could add to a sequel, or do you think it'd be better to just keep doing updates like they have been doing?
You know, I love the updates. I think they're a ton of fun. I mean, like, the latest update gives us, like, stand users and Elmer Fudd with Big Chungus. And there's, like, a Hank Hill character now.
Really?
That has a stand of his own that is just this giant anthropomorphic propane tank. It's pretty great. I love these updates. I don't ever want them to stop. Just because, like, they're just so fun, so outrageous, so chaotic in a lot of respects. But if I were to get like another new game out of the franchise, I'm not entirely sure how it would work, but I would love to see it made. Plus more opportunity for me to grind.
Nah, fair enough.
I actually think that it's the kind of game that does best with, I mean, the updates are awesome. And I could, if the developers needed some more money to, be able to continue to update it, I think a DLC situation would actually make more sense, just to continue adding stuff to it. Because I think it's the kind of game that doesn't really need any real technical innovations, right? It's the game that, like we talked about, the art style is, the 16-bit sort of art style. It's not the most like graphically intensive, and there's not really like a clear path to upgrading the graphics or anything. So from like a technical standpoint, I don't think it needs a sequel. And then like whatever you want to do with it in terms of new content, I think actually works best just adding on to what is already there rather than building an entirely new game that then people would have to like, sort of grind for all of the Zombo points and start from scratch. I just don't really necessarily actually see the real value to it unless they did some really interesting twist on it and did something like very different in terms of the core gameplay loop of getting from place to place. Because I think the mechanics, like really, if you thought about it and you came out with another game that just had some, had lots of new, encounters and stuff like that, I don't think it would really justify a new game. Because especially given that they already have been adding all of these new events and characters and customization options and all that stuff. So I'm sure it could be done, but I actually kind of like that they went in a different direction and did Cannibal Crossing, which is a totally different game rather than trying to remake or make a different version of Death Road.
No, I really want to play Cannibal Crossing.
It's really cute.
How do you feel? How do you feel about it, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
The sequel.
No one player.
Cannibal Crossing, I think that it's up to like 4. I don't remember off the top of my head though.
Yeah, make a sequel. Sure, let's buy into this again and keep going. I definitely enjoyed the thing to make it a franchise. Yeah, that would be wonderful. What it's going to be? Maybe they decide to try to go to Mexico instead. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I do like that idea, and that was kind of like
You could do like Death Road to X country.
Yes.
Death Road to Mexico, Death Road. I like the
Death
idea.
Road
of it,
to Russia.
Death Road.
Yeah.
What about this? Death Road from Canada. Like you get kicked out of Canada, and now you gotta go back through it all again. And I thought that was gonna be my pitch for a sequel, but after Sami mentioned DLC packs, I think that actually might make a better DLC mode. Like if you've completed the game, like certain characters, you could choose to start a Death Road from Canada. Like you've been kicked out of Canada for saying "cool it" to the wrong person or whatever. And now you gotta go find another place, and maybe it would be like an endless mode. You're just going like you go as long as you can, and there's no safe place. Or
But there's an endless mode.
There is an endless mode.
oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe like go from Canada through the United States, and maybe Mexico is like the new safe haven.
New safe haven, like all the zombies came up north because Canada was the last place with living flesh, and suddenly Mexico's safe again.
Something like that.
Or maybe like a tower defense, like you're trying to defend the wall at Canada. Something
But
like
then
that.
it's a very different game.
Then it does become a very
Is
different
it
game.
still Death Road? I don't think so.
You're right. So I guess
Well, you are on like the last bit of the Death Road, and there's a lot of death on said road.
It feels like you're at the wall in Game of Thrones, then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it'd be a different thing. Maybe that's okay if you still kept the same gameplay parts at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Then that could be neat. But again, to actually have something that's better than just keep adding DLCs, that would require a bit of something to think about.
Yeah, I think I came in here thinking a sequel would be an awesome idea, but you've all turned my opinion around on that.
Well, I mean, it's not to say that companies haven't done this right. Like Diablo 2, Diablo 3.
Sure.
How different are they really?
Well, I think the core thing there is that those are RPGs that, even if the gameplay isn't that different, presumably what you're there for is a different story,
Okay.
right? But Death Road is a framework. It's not a single story. It's a framework that allows you to build your own stories.
Mhm.
So every game has every round and run has its own story that you've created through your playing of the game. And so what would need to, what a sequel would need is not a different story. It needs to have something novel and like at a core level different from the first one. And maybe it could be done, but I just, I think it would be a challenging thing to find something that would make it different enough to warrant it being a sequel, but then same enough to still warrant it being a Death Road game.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
That's.
And it's the kind of risk where it's like, you could take it and it could go well, but it's like, is it worth it when you also have other ideas like Cannibal Crossing?
Yeah.
Which,
And I don't think that necessarily Death Road is like a brand that needs to be maintained across multiple games, right? It's just this developer makes these fun games, and that's their brand, is their developer brand.
Okay. That's fair enough. I like that.
Everybody listening, if you haven't played Death Road to Canada, you need to go and purchase it off of Steam. If you don't have your own credit card, ask your parents to pay for it.
Or steal it.
Or steal it.
Don't steal it.
No,
steal
don't
it.
do
Don't steal
that.
it. Don't steal it.
Don't steal credit cards. Borrow them. Don't borrow credit cards.
No, especially without asking.
Can you imagine? We get shut down. Like, I don't know if we're gonna keep letting Billy listen to this podcast. He seems to be learning a lot about things.
But yeah, if you haven't played Death Road to Canada, highly recommend you check it out. It's a lot of fun, either by yourself or with a good group of friends. It's a very, very fun party game, and there's going to be a lot of laughs.
I do recommend playing with multiple people. Great way to start off. Start off on a Friday night and find yourself at Sunday morning still doing it.
Get some pizza.
Ah, yeah.
Any final thoughts, Sami?
No, I would also say that it's definitely a lot of fun, very worthwhile, and it's more fun the more people you have, as long as you all are able to approach it with like a similar mindset. I think that is the one thing, is if it can work, it can cause some conflict if you're not seeing it the same way.
Yes, but when you assume you're going to lose, you will not be disappointed.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then I would say, don't give up. It's like we've been saying, nobody starts off good at this game. It's not a game that, by its nature, you're good at in the beginning. It makes the victories mean that much more when you've failed several times.
Go fight, win.
Go fight, win.
Right.
Other than that, I just want to say thank you all for agreeing to do this. This is so fun. I'm glad that we're continuing to keep this up. Sami, this was your second episode here, but shout out to Mike and McKenna. This is both your first time on this, and everyone, this was awesome. Really great job. Special thanks to Rocket Cat Games for making a super awesome game, and we hope to see more from you. Till next time, everybody, say goodbye. Bye. Bye. Don't borrow credit cards.
No, especially without asking.